Dr. Sahila. Welcome. I'm honored to welcome our esteemed guest and advocate for gut health, Dimple Jangda. She needs no introduction with her impressive credentials as a founder of Prana Health Academy, popular TEDx speaker, and an Ayurvedic health coach to numerous renowned celebrities. Dimple Ji truly needs no introduction. So, what sets her apart is really her altruistic spirit because she supports small organizations like ours. Truly, when I approached her, I was very surprised by her immediate acceptance. That shows that her beautiful heart to help the community's benefit and to spread awareness of Ayurveda, which is truly heartwarming. And also, for the ones who don't know me, I'm Dr. Sahila, internal medicine physician in the US, who founded Wellness with Sahila about 5 years ago. And my journey has been kind of similar with Dimple G's. After working here for 15 years, due to personal experiences with depression, I dwelled into yoga. I became pill-free eventually, and then started to teach this as part of my chakra healing program. So currently, I'm the faculty for Hindu University of America for yoga studies. Besides chakra healing, I teach pranayams, meditation program, but really chakra healing is my area of specialization. And these are the books. So now I will let Dimple Ji talk a few words to welcome us to commemorate this event, and because all the participants are eagerly waiting to hear from Dimple Ji. Thank you, Dimple Ji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahila, for creating a platform where people can come together and learn. I mean, this is different, people are usually doing Instagram lives and, having a conversation. But this is nice that, people can now come to a tighter group where they can actually address their questions and get answers real time. So that's very nice. For those of you who've logged in, I think some of you are already following either Dr. Sahila or me. I think all of you are either following Dr. Sahila or me. Both of us are promoting the science of Ayurveda. Now, I'll tell you what I'm most impressed about this science, okay? Just to give you a little background. So I've written this book called Heal Your Gut, Mind and Emotions with Penguin. And in the first chapter, my editor said, talk about your life story. How did you come upon Ayurveda? Otherwise, people will not believe the tips that you're sharing unless you explain your personal journey of discovery. I said, okay, I was a little hesitant, about sharing my personal life story because I'm usually a very, very private person. Lots of people don't know this. Although I'm on social media, I'm very private as a person. I usually don't talk about my personal life or my family or, my niece and nephews. I usually don't share pictures of them on the internet because it may not be such a safe place, right? It's a dark place. So I was an investment banker, TV reporter, TV producer, and at the peak of my career, nothing made sense, like despite looking physically healthy on the outside, I didn't feel good inside. It's not like I had a cold or a cough or a fever or a sinus or a migraine, nothing. And I had many, many, many diseases and surgeries up to the age of 18, 20. For fibrocystic benign tumors that kept coming back. I was exposed to radiation, mammograms, which is so dangerous for a young girl at that age. I had deviated septum, tonsillitis, migraines, epilepsies. Growing up, I also had urticaria a few years ago, hemorrhoids, fissures, internal bleeding. So these were things that I couldn't understand. My video's turned down. Ms. Sudha, those of you who can't see me or hear me, my video and audio is on. So I, at the peak of my career, decided to take a sabbatical. And I was also in the US, like Dr. Sahila is. And for me, I had a choice to come back to India. So I packed up my bags and came back to India. And I started traveling to find answers. And I didn't know what my questions were at that point in time because I looked fairly healthy on the outside, right? And you can't go to a doctor and say, I don't feel good. And your stats are normal. You're healthy, right? Your blood works and your x-rays and MRIs, everything looks healthy. And what are you going to explain to the doctor? Why do you not feel good? So I started traveling and I discovered after traveling to like 10 countries, 11th country I did was India. where I spent a lot of months traveling, and I discovered Ayurveda, naturopathy, yoga, circadian rhythm. These are concepts that were not taught in school. What is circadian rhythm? What is rise with the sun, set with the sun? We were only said, the early riser gets the worm and everything, right? We were only taught those things, but nobody explained to us the health benefits of getting up early. And I discovered Ayurveda. I also studied yoga. I'm a certified yoga teacher, although I don't teach, full time. I also studied lifestyle medicine with Harvard Medical School and gut health and microbiome with Stanford. I'm also doing a PhD right now on bridging the research gap between Ayurveda and modern medicine. Now, what amazed me is the last 7 years, I have been researching Ayurveda with my team of Ayurvedic doctors, biotech researchers, yoga teachers, nutritionists, holistic medicine, integrated medicine practitioners. So I have people from all functional areas coming together to research why is Ayurveda still relevant? It's a 5,000-year-old science. And why are some people anti-Ayurveda? There's a huge research gap. There's a huge language gap, time gap, understanding gap between the doctors and patients. There's a lifestyle gap. Now, this was thought 5,000 years ago. And in the last 400 years, unfortunately, during the colonial rule, it was destroyed with a deliberate intention to remove all alternative healthcare life sciences from the Indian subcontinent and introduce Western medicine and the products of the chemical industries from Europe into India. So there was a deliberate government initiative at that point in time, not the Indian government. Unfortunately, the British government or the colonial rule caused a lot of harm to indigenous people, tribes, and sciences. So, there were mass famines in India. At that point in time, indigo famine happened. Millions of people died of starvation. Their backbone was broken. Their confidence in their culture, in their sciences, in their traditions, in their own language was broken. Now, I'm an Indian, but I think in English and then I have to translate in my mind and speak in Hindi because English has become our official language. The English Education Act was passed in the 18th century, where funds were set aside by the colonial rule or the East India Company only for sciences taught in English. So the sciences taught in regional languages, native language of India, which is Hindi, Marathi, Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam. We have almost 300 plus languages and dialects in India, which is like amazing for a country that big. It's one of the largest country in terms of geography and population. I think we compare only to China, right? How did a country of 1.5 billion people now, obviously back then it was maybe half the population, how did a country that big lose their confidence in their own science, culture, history, religion, language, and spirituality? Because at that point in time, the rule was made that the only way we can rule a country like India is by breaking it. Because such a diverse country of so many religions, spiritualities, sciences, we invented zero, we invented numbers. The whole financial system and the markets wouldn't exist if India hadn't invented numbers. We invented yoga. We invented Ayurveda. Okay, we invented homeopathy. Ayurveda inspired naturopathy to be born in Europe. Lifestyle medicine, holistic medicine was born because of this. Then I was on a quest to bridge this gap. Where did we go wrong? I did a course with Harvard, and let me tell you, I finished 7 out of 8 modules. I have just one module left. Dr. Bates, who was teaching the course, Lifestyle Medicine, she's an MD, a Harvard Medical School graduate, a complete Americanized product. The whole time she was talking about how she has never entered a gym, she only does yoga, and she went promoting whole food, plant-based diet. Why a vegetarian diet is better. The whole course. Now, America is probably one of the largest consumers of meat and animal-based products. I was impressed, but she was also, restricted in terms of what she can share. Like she cannot openly share about acupuncture, acupressure, traditional Chinese medicine, face mapping, because this hasn't been proven by Harvard scientists yet, and she's not allowed to share it. So she subtly kept on talking. They were like, oh, you look so fit for your age, Dr. Bates. Your muscles are so toned. I only do yoga. I've never entered a gym. Yesterday, I did a seminar with Dr. Robert DiBiase. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. He's an American doctor. And his 2.5 hour seminar was on face mapping based on traditional Chinese medicine, tongue reading based on Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, reading the eyes to find out which organ is suffering. It's a science called, I think, sclerosis or something, and I'm not sure. I have it written down. I was, this is a modern medicine doctor, and the whole time he's talking about alternative sciences. He talks about the eye evaluation chart based on sclerology. Sclerology. And then he spoke about tongue mapping and face reading, face reflexology. I was impressed. Now, this gentleman seemed Mexican American, I'm not sure. Mexicans, Native Americans, the Red Indians, the original ones, South Americans, Western Europe, Southeast Asia, Japan, China, Korea, India, all of these countries rely on holistic medicine, kitchen remedies, and kitchen recipes to get well. They do not approve of popping pills to heal your body. Now, pharmaceutical drugs, antibiotics, was one of the greatest inventions of the 19th century. Now, I'm going back into a little bit of history again to re-bolster your faith on kitchen remedies. In 19th century, bacteria was considered as bad. All bacteria was bad. So there was a huge industrial revolution where, everybody got jobs in factories and mass manufacturing happened. Now, people working in such close proximity, thousands of people in factories, meant they were constantly exchanging bacteria, and they were not used to that. Back in the day, we all had cottage industries, and everybody lived in their specific village and traveled as far as their foot allowed them to travel in 24 hours and gathered food and came back. So that was called eat local, eat seasonal. So they only could eat local fruits and vegetables that grew in that perimeter of the distance they could travel by foot in 24 hours. They wouldn't travel 2 to 3 days to get food and come back to their families, right? Now, suddenly the Industrial Revolution brought a lot of population of the people in small, confined, constricted, restricted spaces that did not have ventilation, air circulation, or hygiene. People were exchanging bacteria through sweat, through air, through saliva, through coughing, through sneezing, and people were getting sick. Then they discovered antibiotics, a chemical that would be introduced inside the body, a chemical which would destroy all the bacteria in the body, the good and the bad. In the 19th century, all bacteria was considered as bad. So antibiotics apparently saved 1 out of thousands of people from death who would have otherwise died from infection. 1 out of thousands of people. The remaining thousands of people ended up with side effects and serious damage to their gut bacteria. All the gut was damaged. Fast forward 21st century, almost 150, 200 years later, the same scientists who discovered antibiotics, Harvard and Stanford, I've done a course with both of them because I'm curious what the scientists think. Both the scientists, doctors on both the courses said, do not take antibiotics if you just have a cold, cough, sinus, or fever. Let your body sweat out the toxins because your gut has a diverse flora of gut bacteria, as diverse as a rainforest. You cannot count the number of trees in a rainforest. By the time you finish counting, maybe new plants have already grown somewhere. You cannot count the number of mushrooms and plants. Can you? Impossible. Can you count the number of fishes in the ocean? Impossible. That's a number of bacteria you have in your gut. That's how diverse it is, like a rainforest. For every food you eat, there is a specific bacteria that digests it. So say you're eating almonds, there is a specific group of bacteria that knows how to digest an almond. Now, when I meet people with allergies, I met a lady who was allergic to almost 80% of the foods. She was allergic to French beans, flat beans, cluster beans. She was allergic to all kinds of nuts and almonds. She was allergic to even whole grains. I was like, what am I going to design a diet for? You've paid me money and now I feel guilty. I don't know what I can design a diet on this. I said, you know what? This has to stop. This allergies. You will eat one food that you're allergic to, one small piece every single day. You're allergic to almonds, you will eat one almond pre-soaked for 24 hours or 12 hours, peel it, and chew, 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 chew till it turns into saliva in your mouth, into liquid milk. And only then you swallow it. Every day you'll eat one almond till you notice that there are no allergies. Then you'll eat two. Then you'll eat three and increase. Then I said, you'll eat one cluster bean, one bean, literally, along with your other cooked foods. So she was now creating new bacteria in her gut. And I said, you will do gardening every day and play with mud or do pottery to introduce bacteria back into your system. Over cleansing has also become a bane. Over sanitizing your hands with these alcohol based sanitizers is also become a bane. Now I've changed the liquid soap in my bathroom with a plant based liquid soap so that I'm still getting the good bacteria, but only destroying any kind of harmful chemicals from our hand. Because we get bacteria into our body through our hands, through our eating process, through our sweat. When you go out, work out, sweat, you're creating bacteria. When you roll in the mud, play in the nature, walk in the trees, you're creating good bacteria and allowing it to enter your body. So this is how this woman healed. Within 20 days. She was able to eat all the foods that she was allergic to. Not all, a few she was able to, that she had introduced. And now slowly she's on an experiment of micro dosing herself with the foods she's allergic to. Now, Stanford, Harvard are saying don't take antibiotics unless the situation is very grave and serious. Right? And now they are also saying go on a whole food, plant predominant plant-based diet, because plant-based diet is healthier. It has diverse set of bacteria that it can introduce into your gut. Meat, seafood, and eggs are dead foods. Now, egg is not dead, but it still has animal protein, which contributes to cholesterol. There is research that says egg contributes to cholesterol. But the egg industry has promoted egg to be one of the healthiest forms of protein to eat, and everybody is having 2 eggs and 4 eggs because advertising, marketing. Milk has been promoted as one of the healthiest drinks to have in India by the milk industry because it is a profitable industry. They learn how to commercialize, industrialize, and mass manufacture or mass produce milk from cows by putting them in factories and injecting them with hormones and artificially inseminating them every year. So they
So,
right?
can I interrupt? So,
Yes.
I have made some pictures in context to what you just spoke. And we are going to ask your opinion because these were the questions that the audience wanted to ask.
Yes, please do. I'm glad you interrupted because I love sharing this information. Sometimes I forget how long.
Can you see this, Dimple Ji?
Yes.
Can you see the post that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Yeah.
3 foods.
So 3 foods to exclude in diabetes: simple carbs, packaged sugars, alcohol. Do you agree? And do you want to add something? So
Okay.
most of the slides will be like this so that people who are watching can watch as well as listen to you. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So guys, you see these 3 things, the 3 most common triggers for pre-diabetes has been covered in this. Okay. Now, simple carbs, we've put a picture of white rice. It's not just white rice. Cakes, cookies, pastries, donuts, bread is also a simple carb. Because it has been made with refined grains. Why is white rice called an enemy for diabetes? Because it is refined. What is better than white rice? Red rice, brown rice, black rice. If you have to have white rice, you wash it 3 times, pre-soak it for 12 hours or 4 to 5 hours also, and you cook it with a lots of water. You drain the starch and eat the rice hot with some ghee. But you also eat lentils with it, vegetables with lots of fiber. So your eating proportion should be 1/3 carbs, 1/3 protein, 1/3 vegetables.
Yeah. So that is my next slide, Dimple Ji. So 3 foods to include in diabetes.
Very good. What is complex carbs? Red rice, brown rice, black rice is a form of rice-based complex carbs. What is a complex carb for wheat? Now, wheat is generally not advisable because it is genetically modified and people have developed an allergy to it. So instead of wheat, what can you have? Emmer wheat, kapli atta in India has not been genetically modified. Millets, barnyard millet, kodo millet, proso millet, foxtail millet. Then you have finger millet. It's one of my favorites, ragi. Then
Yes.
you have sama rice. These are complex carbs.
Do you
What of
like to add anything specific that I'm missing in the slide? To
Yeah,
in
these are ones that are great. I love eating a big plate of vegetables and fruits. Okay, so this is my trick. Um, my morning breakfast routine is only warm water with ghee or without ghee or with lemon. One vegetable juice. There are only some vegetables that can be juiced. Do not juice spinach and kale. It will lead to kidney stones. Okay. Some vegetables can be juiced like ashgat, carrot, and beetroot, amla. Not your fruits, not your apples, not your oranges. Oranges, once in a while, you can juice it, but it's better not to because it causes sugar spike for those who are diabetic. Karela, if you're diabetic, which is called bitter gourd, with
yes.
tomato. Tomato can be juiced with Karela or bitter gourd as we call it. And then we also have celery, cucumber, cilantro, mint, a vegetable juice, and then a bowl of fruits and some nuts along with the fruits to prevent the sugar spike. So morning should be reserved only for fiber-rich foods because these complex carbs, even vegetables and fruits are considered complex carbs. Although fruits has fructose, vegetables has complex carbs, which goes in an undigested form to the large intestine. So it passes through the small intestine, which is 22 feet long, and enters a large intestine in an undigested form. That's where your bacteria exist, the large intestine and colon, and they feed on the complex carbs and fiber to become stronger and healthier. So you need to feed your gut bacteria before you start your day. Otherwise, your gut bacteria will eat you. Truly.
One, yeah,
Your gut
good
bacteria
message.
will
That's
eat
really what
you
the yeah.
by eating the mucus, which lines your gut walls, which is a source of carbs for the gut, for the bacteria. So if you don't eat complex carbs, the gut bacteria will end up eating your stomach lining. Simple carbs like white rice, sugary treats like cereals, muesli that comes packaged and refined, chocos, simple carbs like breads, pastries, cookies, chocolates. They get absorbed in the small intestine immediately. They get released into the bloodstream immediately in the form of sugar, causing a sugar spike and pre-diabetes symptoms. They don't
Got
enter the large intestine because there's no fiber. Okay. So Harvard, by the way, recommends half plate fruits and vegetables, quarter plate carbs and quarter plate protein. But in Ayurveda, we say separate the fruits as a separate meal. Have your fruits first. 1 hour later, have your vegetables, carbs, and protein. That's the only difference between Harvard and Ayurvedic approach to the healthy plate.
got it. Thank you. Three foods to exclude in cancer. So I included the three important things. Do you
Yes.
agree and do you want to add something?
Absolutely. See, processed meat, okay? Very simple logic, guys. Those of you who are watching and listening, I think there are about 41 participants, right? Excluding me and Dr. Sahila, 39 of you. If I can change your perception in this one meeting, I would be very grateful. Allow me to explain. Animals like dogs, cats, which we don't eat, cows, goats, sheep, pigs. Pigs are the most notorious for all kinds of parasital worms, tapeworms. Okay, because what do they eat? They eat crap, they eat garbage. Cows, goats, sheep, dogs, cats. All of them get complex diseases like cancer, blood pressure, diabetes, thyroid, Hashimoto's, Graves, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea. They can't run to doctors like you and I to get medicines to cure their body every day. They live with complex diseases and they release cortisol when they're separated from their kith and kin, from their children or from their brothers and sisters and mothers. And they release cortisol at the time of slaughter because they know they're going to be slaughtered. Where does the disease and the cortisol go when you consume the meat? Inside your body. Animals get cancer when you consume a cancerous piece of meat. You are also exposing yourself to cancer cells. Plants don't get cancer, which is why Ayurveda, naturopathy, Harvard, Stanford, and some of the leading scientists in the world are proposing whole food plant-based diet. Now, what is whole food? Foods that come straight from the farm to your table, not from a factory. Now, the maida and gluten that is there in the picture, maida is refined flour. It comes from a factory. They've taken rice or wheat and ground it so finely that they've separated the germ and they've separated the bran, which has the fiber. The germ has a good fat oil. The bran has all the fiber. They've removed all the good properties and made it so fine that you can make delicious cakes that melt in your mouth. Gluten is not an enemy, but the genetically modified foods like wheat and maize has a gluten that even insects and pests cannot eat. That's why the production has gone up and we cannot digest it. Packaged foods have a lot of additives, coloring agents that gives it a shelf life. If it can survive on the shelf for 6 months, it can survive in your gut also for 6 months, those additives and preservatives. Now you're filling up your body with a collection of preservatives, industrial chemicals that are not edible. They're saying that, 20% is plant-based, only 2-3% is preservatives. Now, what is the remaining 80% then? It is still other kinds of inorganic, inedible ingredients that makes it delicious, addictive, but indigestible.
Right. So the next slide is exactly what Dimple ji was saying. So 3 foods to include in cancer. Do you agree with this, Dimple ji?
Yes. In fact, you can just call me Dimple, Sahila.
Dimple.
I'm very grateful to you, for your time and respect. And I really do love this webinar.
Thank
I love
you.
starting my day like this.
Yeah.
3 foods to include in cancer. Dr. Sahila is again right about it. Berries, turmeric, and green tea. Now, not just turmeric, lots of Indian spices are amazing. A few years ago, people were saying, no spice in my diet, no spice. I'm having bland foods, just boiled foods. Now, everybody's starting the day with spices. Cumin, fennel, coriander, cardamom, carom. These are my favorite ones from the kitchen because all of these 5 are carminative. Cumin, fennel, coriander is called jeera, saunf, akhadanya. They are carminative. They produce digestive juices in our stomach and they aid the digestion and prevent bloating, gas, flatulence, and all of that. Cardamom stimulates your metabolic fire. Carom seeds helps in deworming. Then you have fenugreek, helps in deworming. Then you also have coriander powder. You have salt, either table salt for those who have thyroid or pink salt, rock salt, Himalayan salt for those who do not have thyroid, who don't need iodine in the salt. Okay, only those who have thyroid should have table salt. Then we have turmeric, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungal. You have cinnamon, clove, ginger, black pepper, star anise, bay leaf. Then you have the herbs, cilantro, right? Mint. There are so many in the kitchen itself. Basil, tulsi. And if you want to go deeper, you have rosemary, basil, thyme, right? These are the Italian version of dried herbs. See, they always put herbs in all their diet because it helps in deworming.
Yes.
Berries, rich source of antioxidants and flavonoids, which helps in fighting cancer cells. Green tea also has flavonoids and it also has polyphenols, plant-based phytochemicals that helps in fighting cancer cells. All of these help in fighting cancer cells. Now, here's the beauty. We use the word cancer excessively now, right? People are like, oh God, negative conversation. Let's not have this. 1 out of 2 people are at the risk of cancer. Last night, I met a cancer survivor. Last night, I was talking to a doctor whose both parents succumbed to cancer. In a day, I met 3 people who had cancer. 1 out of 2 people are at the risk of cancer right now. Why? Because of the industrial chemicals that has entered our body. On a daily basis, your body is fighting cancer cells, right? So that means on a daily basis, you need to consume foods that fight cancers. Berries, turmeric, and such.
Very well said, Dimple ji. So I just want to highlight for the viewers that I teach exactly same with yoga and pranayama techniques in my chakra healing. So if you people who have already taken the program, Anahat chakra is what causes cancer and it's related to autoimmune illness. So I have a retreat coming up and a special offer at the end of this program. We'll continue with the presentation.
Just
So
to add
Dimple,
to Sahila, so
yeah.
yoga, pranayam, guys, it's amazing. I feel like everybody should do the yoga teacher training course, not just the teachers. I
True.
don't teach yoga, but I practice yoga and I've done the teacher training certificate, even though I have my own yoga teacher. Reason being, I want to know what is happening to my body. Okay. I want to keep my BMI consistent. I don't want to put on weight. Putting on weight, fat around your midriff is one of the biggest triggers for cardiovascular diseases, cancer and prediabetes. You cannot have weight around your midriff. Okay. The first thing you should do when you wake up in the morning is have the urge to run to the bathroom to release the toxins. On a daily basis, your body is collecting toxins. Do you have the urge to run to the bathroom as soon as you wake up? Is the first sign of good health. Are you eliminating toxins from your colon? Now, the foods that are mentioned in this slide to exclude an autoimmune disease, all of these foods are constipating in nature. Okay. Dairy, milk helps in eliminating constipation, but contaminated dairy that you're finding in the market right now, milk, yogurt, butter, buttermilk, cheese, processed cheese, margarine butter, these have unfortunately increased inflammation in our body because they are processed, refined, or contaminated. Processed meat is one of the biggest killers or triggers of cancer. It increases your risk of colorectal cancer by 27%. So 1 out of 4 meals that you're eating is causing cancer cells. 1 out of 4 meals.
And
So
Dimple, just to explain our viewers what is processed meat, all the meat that is being manufactured in a factory setting. Because why we call that is because of the excessive hormones that they are being injected into these animals to make the muscle mass big, to make them look, healthy, but inside they are stored with antibiotics, hormones, and all these things. So even if you are buying it from a good-looking grocery store, it is still considered processed. So Dimple, how do you explain processed meat to the viewers?
So I propose whole food, plant-based diet. Like, don't consume animal-based foods at all if you have a choice. And we do have a choice. Luckily, human beings are the only species in this world that grow their own food and cook their own food. Okay, animals can't grow their food and they cannot cook their food, and hence they have a complex digestive system that helps them digest raw greens. And they have a simple digestive system like canines, carnivore animals, that helps them digest meat. Now, canines or carnivores have a chewing process like this. They can only open and close. They can only bite and tear. Herbivores like cows, goats, sheep, and human beings, we are herbivores technically, we have grinding mechanism. We can chew like this. And we have a 22 feet long small intestine, 6 feet long large intestine. Cows and human beings have the same length of the digestive system. Canines have only 6 feet long small and large intestine, which allows the meat to quickly come out of the system. In human beings, because we have such a complex gut, the meat gets stuck and doesn't come out. So this is a proven science. Fruits takes about 3 hours in your system, 1 hour in the stomach, 1 hour in the small intestine, 1 hour in the large intestine. Vegetables takes about 6 hours in your body, 2 hours in the stomach, 2 hours in the small intestine, 2 hours in the large intestine. Grains and pulses takes about 18 hours, 9 hours in the stomach, 9 hours in the small intestine, 9 hours in the large intestine. Meat, seafood, and eggs, even Harvard has proven this. Meat, fish, and eggs takes anywhere between 72 to 74 hours, 3 days, for it to come out of your body. They say seafood takes about 2 to 3 days. Meat definitely takes 3 days. In a healthy person, in an unhealthy person, even more days. So it gets stuck in your system. It's rotting, putrefying, releasing acids. A piece of dead meat, if you keep it outside the refrigerator for 24 hours, it is filled with maggots and worms and flies and tapeworms. You'll see the worms coming out because they live inside. When we put that inside our body, we're also exposing ourselves to this. Processed meat is 1,000 times worse.
Yes.
Although it kills the tapeworms and the bacteria, it brings other chemicals inside our body. So both are equally bad. I would say stay away from animal-based protein unless you really need it. You don't need it. Okay, animal-based protein includes meat, seafood, eggs, and even dairy products because it's contaminated and it's considered cancerous in countries like China and Korea. They will never touch dairy. They do not have dairy in their diet. They do not even have oils in their diet. Oils are great if you're already habituated to it, like Indians and the Mediterranean countries like Greece and all of them. We're already habituated to having olive oil and coconut oil in our diet. So go ahead and have it. Have a lot of fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, herbs, spices, nuts, seeds. and good fats in the form of ghee, olive oil, coconut oil, nuts like almonds and walnuts. That's my approach to good health. And I can tell you, I've reversed many conditions and diseases in my body, and I've avoided my fifth surgery, and so can you.
Wonderful, miss. So, Dimple, one more thing. When it comes to dairy, a lot of my clients, they say they go get their dairy products from a goshala.
Hmm.
What's your comment on that?
Okay. That's actually very healthy, and I'll tell you why. Cows never grew in forests. They never lived in forests. From day one, they were domesticated, not because we chose them, they chose us. Cows, dogs, cats chose us. Okay? Technically, dogs were wolves. They chose us and they chose to live with human beings alongside near the villages so that they get access to food. And in return, they offered protection to us, safety and security. Correct? Dogs offer protection, safety, security. Cows chose us. And when you have a pheromonal exchange with your cow, so if you're drinking milk from a gaushala, this is a rule. You have to visit the gaushala yourself once a week at least. Feed the cows with your own hands. Because when the cow licks your palm, it is leaving some bacteria on your hand. Lactase. It gets absorbed through your pores. It allows you to digest that milk. A cow keeps licking its calf, and the calf is drinking milk, and the calf has lactase to digest that milk. Most human beings don't have lactase. That's why we are lactose intolerant, most human beings. But if you're living with the cows, a shepherd, you'll have amazing digestive health. If you don't live with the cows, like most of us live in cities now, and we don't have the opportunity to keep a cow in a backyard, you should visit the gaushala at least once a week, exchange bacteria. The cow, through the pheromonal exchange, sniffs its owner's deficiencies and produces milk based on the deficiencies that its owner has, that her owner has. Okay? Like how a mother, when she breastfeeds a child, she holds a baby like this. From the scalp of the baby, there are pheromones, which is a hormone released from the scalp of the baby, which the mother inhales. She sniffs through her nostrils without realizing. That goes to the brain and tells the brain what kind of deficiency the child has, or what is the nutritional need of the child. And that message goes from the brain to the breast milk factory, okay, that the mother has, the natural factory. And the mother's milk formulation changes for the same child between two feeds, and changes between two babies, and even between twins. A twin will prefer one side of the mother's breast, and the other twin will prefer the other side, because they've already communicated to the mother's body what is their nutritional needs. Now, cows and human beings have a similar relationship. We don't drink milk directly from the cow, but when we're touching the cow, when we're milking the cow, when we're bathing the cow and scrubbing its body, when we're feeding it fodder, we're having a pheromonal exchange of information. If you're going to the gaushala yourself and feeding the cows, donating money to take care of the cows so that they're not artificially inseminated during the non-pregnant years, so that they're not slaughtered when they're done with the milking years to become a belt or a bag, then you can drink that milk. That is called nirdosh ahar. Ahar means food. Nirdosh means a food without any flaw or cruelty in it. That food is amrit to your body. Then you can have. I
It's
don't have
beautifully that I've never heard explanation of milk so much in depth and so beautifully connecting the mother and the child. And even in modern medicine also, we study that a lot, right? Because the closer the bond is between the mother and child, the more healthy the milk is. It's loaded with immunoglobulins, and that's how the baby grows healthy. So, very beautiful explanation. And what Dimple was explaining, the pheromones, is actually the scent released from the baby and from the cow. So that's why it's very important to go back to our roots, connect with Mother Nature. So these are all the things that I teach in my programs as well. So thank you so much for highlighting it and explaining it so beautifully. Thank you.
And just to add one more point, so the women who are here, there is research that says that when a mother breastfeeds a child physically versus pumping and storing it in a bottle, there's a hormonal exchange of information, and you get information on what formulation of milk to make for the baby. Your breast milk also releases HMO, human milk oligosaccharides, which allows, that is not edible, by the way. HMO is not edible, but the mother releases that, which creates bacteria in the child's gut that allows the child to digest the milk. Okay. So if you're giving your child a lot of formula, you might want to step back and give your child as much mother's milk as possible for the first 2 years. If for some reason physically you're not able to produce that milk, you can give goat's milk. It is the closest in formulation to the mother's milk. Cow's milk, it's closest in formulation, but diluted and boiled. Diluted, boil it first and then dilute it. Goat's milk is very healthy, although I have never had it, because goats eat a lot of herbs and plants all the time. They eat a lot of bitter herbs, which we will not eat. And you're getting the benefit of those herbs in the milk of the goat. But again, make sure it's cruelty free. The animal is not slaughtered at the end because it's not fair. We wouldn't do this to our mother. We wouldn't use her upbringing and disown her, right? So we
Yes.
shouldn't do that to an animal also.
Beautifully said. And three foods to include. This, I think you already mentioned this, right, Dimple? For autoimmune, yeah, plant-based diet, fermented foods, fiber-rich foods.
Yeah. Now, fermented foods, Dr. Sahila will agree with me. It's not for everyone. If you're having GERD, acidity, burning sensation, internal bleeding like fissures, bleeding through your colon, or piles, you want to avoid fermented foods during those times. We also avoid fermented foods when we're very sick because it introduces good bacteria, which is very active. Do not have fermented foods when you're having fever. You can have fermented foods when you have cold and cough. Okay? You can have fermented foods if you're skinny and fat, but if you're athletic and if you've done an excessive workout, you don't come and eat fermented foods because your body is already hot. And if you put fermented foods, they will ferment even more in that hot environment, causing burning sensation. So fermented foods is great, but best after meals so that you can line your stomach walls.
Right. And also fermented foods, not good during fasting, if you're breaking a fast, right? For the same reason. Yeah.
Even during periods, because you're already having bleeding, so you don't want to increase.
Beautiful. So now I have prepared some yay or nay slides just to make this a little bit more interesting and conversational. So a lot of pasta sauce, as you're aware of, is very common. And most of these I've designed for the US population because they are the ones who are my clients who are very interested in talking to you. Pasta sauce with vodka and wine. What's your name? Yeah. So
Vodka wine dehydrates you. And pasta sauce, unfortunately, when you're mixing tomato and milk and wine, they all are viruddha, which means wrong combination, which can trigger skin diseases in the lung.
right. And this has been even popular among kids here in the US. So as you can see, why allergies, autoimmune illnesses are rising. So it's a nay for pasta sauce with vodka wine. Grocery store honey. So this is particularly, I hear this from my clients because nowadays honey is manufactured in very fancy bottles. And I feel there is a lot of contamination with the maple syrup, caramel, sugar syrup, different kinds of things. So what is your take on buying honey and where to buy it?
Never buy honey that has a label that is from an FMCG company, that is from a factory, because they are pasteurized in factories. And it's not pure honey, it's mostly jaggery water or other kinds of chemicals that look like honey because it is impossible for an FMCG company to produce so much honey. When honey gets pasteurized, this is an experiment that was done. Pasteurized honey was given to honeybees and there was 100% mortality rate. All honeybees died. Pasteurized honey was given to rats. There was 50% mortality rate and there were neurological disorders like Parkinson, Alzheimer's, paralysis and such. Honey, when heated, turns toxic and poisonous because it releases a chemical called HMF, hydroxymethylfurfural, which can cause neurological disorders. It gets trapped in the body. Heated honey is poisonous and dangerous. Pasteurized honey is poisonous and dangerous. You only consume raw honey available at the farmer's market with the honeycomb traces and proof of it inside it.
Very
It's
well said.
impossible
Very
to
well said.
extract honey without the honeycomb. If you see honeycomb in it, like when I go to Himachal, when I go to the Himalayas, when I go to the forest reserves, they have honey there available. I only buy honey from them and I only give it to my niece. Adults don't need honey because there's only very little honey available in nature. It is for the honeybees and their children. We can give it to our children when they have cold, cough, sinus. Never give when they have fever. Again, it turns toxic inside the body.
And for the US population, there are bee farms in your localities, which where you can actually go visit those bee farms and you can see how they are made. So such products are safer. Yay or nay? So this is very popular. This is a question I personally wanted to ask you, Dimple, is curd-based curries. Very popular on internet. They will marinate the vegetables, paneer, and all that with yogurt, and then they will cook it on the grill or on the stove top. As a physician, I feel this is taking away all the good properties of the curd. It's probably used as a mixing agent because it's easily available in the house. What is your theory and any alternatives for the curries, the base?
So the original way of cooking requires a little more effort. We use coconut milk or almond milk to make curries. Almond milk is expensive. Macadamia nut milk is expensive. Cashew paste is used to make curries. Cashew milk. You can make a fresh paste out of cashew, add some water, becomes cashew milk. That is used to make curries for paneer and biryanis. And paneer and yogurt, first of all, are viruddhahar. Paneer has been fermented in a different manner. Yogurt has been fermented with a different bacteria. When they react with each other, it causes bloating, gas, flatulence, indigestion. In the long run, even skin allergies. Okay. Number two, when you cook curd, you're destroying all the good bacteria. You're not getting any benefits. You're only getting the taste. So these curd or yogurt marinated vegetables that you're eating is only for taste, not for nutrition. Once in a while, if you eat it, it's fine, but make sure it is not yogurt with paneer. That's wrong combination. Even yogurt rice with milk added to it is a wrong combination. You can add water, but not milk to a yogurt rice. Some people do that to make it more creamy and rich. It's wrong. Instead, use coconut milk and almond milk. And if you're going to have yogurt, I don't have it in my diet. If you have yogurt or curd, put grated vegetables, fresh vegetables, like say cucumber, it's diuretic in nature, beetroot or carrot. Okay, not any other vegetables like aubergine and all. You can put some grated vegetables in it, not tomato also in yogurt. It's viruddhahar, not lemon. Put jeera, pink salt, and have grated vegetables with yogurt. That is better.
And a healthy way is buttermilk, right? If you want to.
Oh, that's healthiest.
Yeah, that's the healthiest. So people who are thinking they're using curd based for health, nay. How about khadi? Somebody is asking khadi being eaten in India. You have any comments, Dimple?
Yeah, so we also make curry at home. We also make hot curd rice in India once in a while for breakfast, where we boil the buttermilk and add the rice and cook it with bay leaf and mustard seeds. So it becomes hot curd rice. It's called khatta chawal. My mother used to make this, okay, and I love the taste of it. It's delicious. It is healthy. Buttermilk cooked rice is very healthy. Curry has other properties in it. It gives you protein from the yogurt. It has turmeric and the spices that are healthy. It will not have good bacteria. It will have protein. It's a good source of protein, curry. Okay. Once in a while, you can have it. Don't make it a habit to have it every day because then you're not getting the good bacteria. So remember, there's a pro and a con. Curry has good protein, but not bacteria.
And for the South Indians, we make the same more korma. So what we do, my mom does is she cooks the curry, she keeps it to cool down. And then when it is completely cooled and room temperature, she will mix a cup of fresh made yogurt on the top. So that's like, good taste and a good substitute to. So it's called more kornbal from the South. It's equivalent to the curry dish. It's again a healthy alternative.
I'm from South India, so I speak Tamil.
Oh, you do speak Tamil?
Yes, Nalla Theriyo Tamil.
Okay.
I lived and grew up, I was born and raised in south of India, in Bangalore and Chennai. So, more Kolambu, idli, dosa,
Yes.
vada,
So
breakfast, pongal.
yeah, me too. I grew up in Bangalore and Chennai. My husband's from Chennai, family members. So it's very nice. So it's another way why we connected so quickly on this topic. Very nice. Very nice to know that. So
Number bang.
coming back to our topic, yeah, fasting. Do you, in my experience, I think fasting has been taken to the extreme, and now people are complaining of gastritis, mood symptoms, headaches. And so, is fasting made for everyone, or what is your opinion?
Three mistakes with intermittent fasting. Okay, now intermittent fasting became a race. That's where fasting became like a westernized concept. It is actually an Indian Ayurvedic concept. Rise with the sun, set with the sun. After the sunset, do not eat solid food. You can have water. You can have a glass of milk if you are hungry at bedtime, plant-based, almond coconut milk, or cruelty-free cow's milk. 16 hours of fasting was recommended from sunset to at least 1 to 2 hours after sunrise. That's the authentic way of fasting because your digestive system shuts down at sunset and doesn't produce digestive juices. There's no metabolic fire for you to digest foods. That's number one. Number two, we also do fasting on special days like a full moon day or a no moon day. A full moon day or a no moon day, your subconscious mind is very active. On a full moon day, all the thoughts from your subconscious mind surface to your conscious mind, and your digestive health is very weak on that day. It's called Ekadashi, I think. On that day, we
Yes.
do not,
Yeah.
do not eat solid foods. If you're hungry, you can have fruits. Otherwise, it's best to fast. In Jainism, we have fasting for Punam, Amavas, and other days where the gut is weak because of the position of the sun and the moon. The gut is weak, the metabolic fire is weak. Fasting on specific scientifically proven religious days for a whole day is great. If you don't have acidity, piles, fissures, internal bleeding, GERD, you can definitely do fasting at least once every week with just fruits or water. If you have any of those symptoms, don't do fasting, have only fruits the whole day. Fruit fasting is better with some vegetable juices. Intermittent fasting, if you're going to do, it is always from sunset. Lots of people are having a big dinner, like 10 course meal, and fasting till 3 in the afternoon next day, missing the pitta clock, which is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., where your body can digest the largest meal. The lunch is the most important meal of the day. Don't miss that. If you're missing that, fasting the whole day and torturing yourself and then eating a big dinner and celebrating, you're actually increasing your risk of cardiovascular diseases. It has been linked with cardiac arrest, intermittent fasting, because people are doing it wrong.
Completely agree with that. Yeah. Thank you, Dimple. Next one, garlic and onion. Very commonly, I get asked for Ayurvedic diet. Is this a yay or a nay? What do you
Okay.
say?
So garlic has anti-inflammatory properties, antibacterial properties. If your child has a cold or a cough, you can slice up a garlic, put it on the bottom of their foot and make them wear a sock. Even for fever, it'll pull the bacteria out of your body, the toxins out of your body, okay? Garlic is anti-inflammatory and also excellent for those who have cholesterol. You must have one garlic piece every day. It has anti-cholesterol properties, okay? It reduces bad cholesterol, LDL, and improves it removes the bad cholesterol and improves the good cholesterol. But if you're already healthy, you don't need garlic and onion in your diet because they're considered tamasic. Tamasic are these root vegetables where more microorganisms grow in them. And during the month of Shravan in India, for those 2 to 4 months, we do not eat root vegetables, especially onion and garlic. Okay, because it increases tamas in the body, which is carnal desires. It's an aphrodisiac. It increases your sexual desires. It can also increase your body heat, can make you more acidic, and can also increase your temper, irritability, and anger. Okay, if you're a healthy person, you don't need onions and garlic. If you have a cold or a cough, you need an onion on the bottom of your foot, and you need garlic if you have cholesterol. So understand the same food can be good and bad for two different people.
Wonderful. So I just want to highlight yogis and monks who are in a very advanced level of learning. They are the ones who usually avoid this. And the reason is mainly because they are focused on achieving the higher meditation goals, and they feel this interferes with their emotions, their sexual desires, and all that. So that is the main reason why monks and our sages used to avoid this. So very good. So then going to the next one, egg-based dips like mayo, which is very favorite among kids here. What's your take on that?
Very
Nay.
bad and unhealthy. Let me tell you, it is processed, refined in a factory, and
Yes,
it probably has less than 10% of the natural ingredients. You're literally eating chemicals.
yes. So definitely a nay. So and for there are several online recipes where you can make mayo, which are eggless also. So please, people who like to indulge in these sauce and dips, please go for the eggless online recipes which you can make at home. So this is another interesting thing. So green teas, we already talked about it and how it is very good. What's your take on the non-green teas, like the dark ones, where we popularly call black tea, Darjeeling tea, or mixed tea? What's your take on that? Is that something healthy or
So there are two takes on it, okay? Black tea, green tea usually are a rich source of catechins and polyphenols. Okay? As long as you don't cook it with milk, it's healthy. The minute you cook it with milk, the plant-based chemical, I'm forgetting the name of it, it'll come to me. It reacts with the milk protein and becomes acidic in nature and unhealthy for human consumption. Now, I'm not sure what is the source of the black tea. The problem with tea is high levels of contamination during storage, logistics, high levels of chemicals and pesticides in the low quality green teas that are cheaper in the market. So if you're going to have tea, if you're getting authentic raw leaves, green tea leaves, black tea, then it's healthy. Even better is your non-green Ayurvedic teas made from cinnamon, cardamom, clove, ginger, pepper, star anise, boiled in water with no tea. That is better. But just be careful about your source of teas. That's my only concern.
yeah. Somebody was asking spice chai. I think that is very common in India.
Phytophenols. That's right. Anu, that's what I was.
Yes. So spice chai is something that you recommend, correct? Spice chai
Very healthy without the milk.
without the milk. Yes. Yeah,
And
that's my common practice. Yeah. Mhm.
caffeine and tea, I don't put tea in the spice tea. It's just cinnamon, cardamom, clove, grated ginger, pepper, star anise. Some people put chai masala or chai. Try to reduce your intake of it because it still has caffeine, which is unhealthy for your heart in the long run. Caffeine jump starts. It's like, taking live wires and putting it to your body and jump starting your body. Why do you want to jump start your body? It should wake up slowly.
So the opinion is go for the source of the non-green teas and avoid milk. And of course, another thing is chini, too much sugar. Yeah. So no sugar, no milk, and go for the source of non-green teas. Nut milk. Is this only for lactose intolerant people or even for healthy people like us? Do you recommend? Because here we recommend nut milk for only if they are lactose intolerant. But do you recommend this for healthy people? Like even if let's say we are tolerating dairy fine and we want to switch to nut milk. Do you recommend that?
So I'll touch on two topics, the sugar and the nut milk. Okay. I'll come to the sugar second because we just spoke about it. Nut milk made from, say, 1 glass of almond milk can be made from 7 to 9 almonds. Every human being should consume 7 to 9 to 11 almonds per day because it contributes to ojas, which is the last tissue, the eighth bonus tissue that promotes the quality of life, not the quantity of years, the quality of life, and adds sweetness to your relationship, purpose, passion, and ikigai, a positive outlook to life. So every human being should have 7 to 11 almonds per day. It is easily grown. It's not a scarce commodity. The broken almonds, what do we do with it? Unsightly almonds, you can make an almond milk out of it and you can use it. Cashew milk, great for those who are underweight, great for those who have dry skin, dry, rough, frizzy hair, constipation symptoms because it has good fats in it, omega-3 and omega-6. Macadamia nut milk, very healthy. Coconut milk, extremely healthy for PCOS, PCOD, thyroid, infertility, gynecological disorders. It helps in repairing. Coconut is literally Amrit again. It gives you water to hydrate. It gives you meat to feed yourself. And it gives you the husk to clean your body and the house with, and gives you a safe home. You can build homes with coconut husk. Coconut milk, if you can use it. Now, because you're having already dairy from a cow, there's no space for nut milk in your body because you're already having that. So if you can replace that with nut milk, you'll get the benefits of almonds, cashew, macadamia, coconut. Do not have oat milk. It is a rich source of starch. It can spike your sugar levels. And also oats is notorious for mold toxicity. And do not have soya milk if you're not a South Asian, like Japanese or Koreans who are habituated, because soya also has a rich source of goitrogen, which impairs your thyroid gland if you're not used to it. So soya and oat is out. All other nut milk, 1 glass per day is great if you can have it.
That is, if you're not consuming dairy.
Yeah. And honestly, dairy has been proven. Now, there is a lot of research that milk has animal protein, about 52, 58%, and calcium. But that animal protein is a dirty fuel. Okay. What it does is it sucks the calcium to be able to digest. And in the process, it also removes calcium from our bones. So dairy has actually been linked with calcium deficiency because our bones are not made of just calcium. It's made with almost other 30, 40 minerals in it. I don't have all the names with me right in front of me, but it has actually been linked. And there's another research done by Harvard that said that countries who are consuming a lot of dairy did not have a low risk of fracture. In fact, they found the risk of fracture higher in those countries. So they were like, why is it that they're consuming? So Scandinavian countries, some countries like Sweden, I think, they consume a lot of dairy, but the risk of fracture was not low. So it does not promote bone health. That's a misconception that we can remove it. So you don't really need.
Yeah. Somebody is asking about tofu.
If you have been raised in Korea, in Japan, where your body has the bacteria to digest soya and tofu, then you have it. But in a country like India, we are not habituated to tofu because soya bean is one of the most difficult protein to digest by the human system. In Japan and Korea, they make tofu at home. The tofu in India and US has been made in a factory that has a lot of unhealthy chemicals that gets introduced in the heating and the fermentation process, which is not good. So unless you're making tofu at home, don't have it. And Anu, you switched to oat milk and your daughter's skin issues have disappeared because you stopped dairy. That causes skin issues. So great on that. But number 2, oat milk is causing sugar spike. Right now, she will not experience anything, but it can make her pre-diabetic if you consume this for about 10 to 14 years. So it increases the risk of pre-diabetes if you consume it every day for a long period. Now it's great, oat milk. You can also start introducing rice milk, ragi milk. Millet milk is very healthy for babies. Milk sourced from ragi. And even macadamia nut milk, cashew milk, almond milk. Try to switch every day and introduce good bacteria, but very slowly, diluted. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful. Yay or nay, this is another very common issue I see with my clients. Obesity runs in families, and they will often say that, whatever I do, nothing changes because my mom was fat, my dad was fat, everybody in my family is fat. Do you agree that obesity is purely genetic or it is diet?
Not at all. Obesity is not hereditary. In fact,
Thank you so much for highlighting that.
Let me tell you something. I'll tell you what is hereditary. Lifestyle. You inherited the same lifestyle and eating patterns as your parents. Obviously, you're not cooking different meals for everybody in the family. Everybody's having the same meal, and hence everybody has the same symptoms of obesity, diabetes, pre-diabetes, thyroid, cholesterol. If you eat healthy, you cannot have diseases. You can reverse, by the way, diseases like thyroid, cholesterol, and pre-diabetes and diabetes type 2. I have patients who reverse PCOS, PCOD, and thyroid. A 13-year-old boy reversed thyroid and he's off his medicines. I'm so proud of him. So guys, it is reversible. You need to reverse your diet to reverse your diseases.
And next one. Last one, I think this is the protein bars. In my opinion, as when I consume these things, it's loaded with sugar and salt.
Yeah.
What is your opinion?
So I give my clients homemade protein bars when they are
Oh,
working out and they keep insisting on protein. Technically, you don't need so much protein. Now, this is a misconception that has been cleared in Ayurveda, in Harvard, in Stanford. You don't need too much protein. Excess protein can destroy your liver and your kidney in the long run, increasing creatinine levels, and it can really make your liver toxic. Excess protein. Now, the industry has been protein, protein, protein. They're bombarding you with advertising messages, which is unhealthy. Okay. Protein bars are not hygienic, first of all. Okay. They've been stored in a packet for days together and they're supposed to rot easily. The best way to have protein in your diet in the form of a protein bar, if you really need, is take all your dry fruits, almonds, walnuts, pistachio, Brazil nuts, which is a good source of selenium for thyroid. Put it in a blender with dates and prunes, which is sticky, and then just roll it into balls or bars and put your own food grade food wrapper at home and keep it. So all my kids, patients, who are going to the US and UK, they generally come for a consult before going to college. What to eat when I go to London, when I go to US? I'm going to get sick. I tell the mothers to make these protein bars at home. Mother's love also gets bound. Mother's bacteria also gets bound in that. And when you eat something made by your mother or made by your own hands, it automatically makes you nostalgic and happy. But you eat the
sure.
protein bar found in the pharmacy on the grocery store, you don't feel any of that happiness or serotonin.
Yes, and
Okay.
only the sugars and salts go up.
When you look at it under a microscope, you'll actually find microscopic bugs and insects living inside it.
Right. Right.
It's
And
the source
this
of
is what
nutrition for
all the athletes, the gym goers, they think they're eating healthy. So yes, I agree with Dimple. I make these laddus, nut laddus with raisins, dates, and that tastes delicious. So
yeah.
one more thing that somebody was asking: do you recommend any diet for healthy eyes? Now, because eyesight is so, what I usually say is carrots, spinach, and fruits. Is there anything that you like to add, or anything that I
Yes.
want to explain?
So Mother Nature is not accidental. Everything, so this is again research by Harvard, also not just Ayurveda. I keep bringing it so that you have faith in this science. Harvard has said that fruits and vegetables grow in specific colors and they're dominant in the phytochemical flavonoids and nutrients based on that color. So red fruits will be great for hemoglobin. Okay. And now fruits and vegetables also grow in a specific shape based on the organ that needs it. Walnuts is great for your brain, pituitary gland. Almonds and carrots are the shape of your eyes. They're great for your eyes. Almonds, carrots, and like Dr. Sahila said, spinach is a great source of iron, which helps in building RBC, which helps in improving blood circulation to your eyes. Okay. Then, of course, what is the other food that you mentioned? Fruits.
Fruits, I think. Yeah.
Fresh fruits has vitamin C. It has malic acid, fumaric acid, citric acid, ascorbic acid, which is again vitamin C. These different acids enhance your organ health.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And one more last question somebody's asking: kids having pollen allergy. Do you have any suggestion?
Okay, Meena, this might seem a little shocking. What is your kid allergic to? That particular pollen? Obviously, you can't go find it yourself. You get the honey made by the honeybees from these pollen grains in your topographic region. So source honey from your city where your child is having allergy, and you give that honey half a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon raw in the mouth. Let them mix it with the saliva and swallow it. It will improve the immunity against that pollen grain because you're micro dosing and telling your body that this is nutrition, not poison. Because a pollen grain is coming uninvited, the body treats it as poison. But when you introduce honey from that pollen grain, the body treats it as nutrition. So that's a great way of getting rid of that allergy.
Yeah. And for allergic to dogs, any recommendations?
Don't keep dogs at home if you're allergic to dogs. Okay, simple as it. Okay, I'll tell you why. Dogs and cats keep licking their owners and they're exchanging bacteria. So people thought it was healthy, but there's a lot of research that's showing that it is actually increasing your risk of E. coli, tapeworms, parasital worms in your intestines because you're allowing the dog to lick your mouth and all of that, right? If you're allergic to dogs and dog hair, don't keep dogs at home and keep eucalyptus oil in a diffuser at all times to kill the good and bad bacteria around your nose. The bad bacteria, actually, the good bacteria doesn't get destroyed. You can keep a bunch of neem leaves or neem essential oil in your house. You can also put eucalyptus oil on the chest, back, and behind the ears at night before going to bed to prevent allergies. You can also give 1 teaspoon raw honey, half teaspoon grated ginger or raw dry ginger powder, pepper or pipili, turmeric, and cinnamon, a pinch of each. Mix it and take the paste. That also helps in fighting allergies. Yesterday, I had a kid with asthma, and this is a remedy. Okay. And even ginger poultice on your chest will remove the allergies.
So I had promised for the all the attendants to have take a look at this offer. It's only for today and tomorrow. I'm doing my next chakra healing retreat on September 13th and 15th. So this is in New Jersey, Princeton. The previous one was in Orlando, Florida. So the price has been slashed. As you can see, the early bird discount is for today and tomorrow. So DM me, contact me if you want to book this. Again, we will be including all of the 7 chakras, the diets for the 7 chakras, the pranayamas for the 7 chakras, the exact specific asanas for these chakras, the meditations, the mantras, the chakra quiz, everything will be included in this. So thank you so much. And Dimple, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sahila, for having me.
How amazing this webinar has been. I'm sure everybody is like, I mean, they are still, do you have time for questions?
Because we did plan a 30-minute workshop, and even for you, I know it's too late in the night.
Yes,
guys,
yes.
Lovely to see you all in the webinar. And as Dr. Sahila said, this has been an encouraging one. You can visit our respective Instagram pages and send the questions on DM. We'll help you out. Okay? All right, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.